This is National Native News. I'm Antonia Gonzalez. Demonstrators in Minneapolis continue to take their message to the streets more than 2 weeks now after the death of George Floyd in police custody. Members of the Native community in the Twin Cities are among those supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. Rhonda Lavaldo reports.
As another march for George Floyd was underway Thursday in Minneapolis, one young member of the Native community, Jacob Johns, was there and explained why he felt it was important to support Black lives.
I think it's important for us to stand in solidarity as American citizens and standing up for people who have to suffer at the hands of the police and the government just as much as we have. I think it's important for us to stand in solidarity, not just in words and over social media, but arm in arm during a pandemic, so that we see that society itself is unified around bettering society for forever.
Another member of the community, Alan Gross, talked about the taking down of the Columbus statue. He says members of the Native community have repeatedly asked for the statue to be removed, but members of the Native community took it down on their own Wednesday during a peaceful demonstration at Minnesota's capital in St. Paul.
Through all those efforts of our bureaucracy always trying to colonize us, keep us colonized, put us down and keep us down, we've always been ready to fight. And we've always had people that are willing to stand with us from all different demographics.
The death of George Floyd has sparked protests across the country and reignited the debate over the removal of Confederate and Columbus statues. Meanwhile, Thursday's march ended at a police station in downtown Minneapolis as people from diverse cultures and ages chanted, "These racist cops have to go." Nationwide, unrest has included calls for the end of police violence against people of color. From Minneapolis, I'm Rhonda Lavaldo.
The director of the National Indian Health Board told U.S. lawmakers Thursday tribes have expressed unpleasant experiences and stress in obtaining COVID-19 assistance through federal agencies other than the Indian Health Service. Tribal leaders wanted relief aid handled exclusively through the IHS because the agency has long worked with tribes and has measures in place to get funding quickly. Stacy Bolin is the executive director of the National Indian Health Board. She says over time, other federal agencies may learn how to work with tribes, but that's not the case today.
Some of the difficulties we face are treating tribes as if they are just another interest group, so to speak, as opposed to sovereign nations, and having them compete for grants with many reporting requirements and hurdles that have to be met before the funding can reach the tribe. Makes it very, very difficult to behave and move forward as a nation in our nation-to-nation relationship when all of these hurdles are put in place and when you have agencies that simply do not know how to work with tribes.
The National Indian Health Board represents the 574 federally recognized tribes in the U.S. and has been advocating for COVID-19 funding. Bolin testified about tribal COVID-19 healthcare response during a subcommittee hearing in the U.S. House Appropriations Committee. South Dakota State University and the Crazy Horse Memorial Indian University of North America are partnering to offer an undergraduate certificate in leadership and sustainability. The program will be taught from Indigenous views on culture, community, and the environment. It's also intended to improve Native student recruitment and retention in higher education. The program will start this fall. I'm Antonia Gonzalez.
National Native News is produced by Koahnic Broadcast Corporation with funding by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
For Native Americans affected by domestic violence, the Strong Hearts Native Helpline offers peer-to-peer support and resources. It's safe, confidential, and toll-free at 844-7-NATIVE. Program support by the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
Support by Mitchell Hamlin School of Law in St. Paul, Minnesota. You can earn your JD and specialize in Indian law in a way that fits your life. There are full-time and part-time options both on campus and online. More at mitchellhamlin.edu.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.